Hello and welcome to Libero Magazine. My name is Robin Baker, and in this video, we're going to go over how to stay present when you're taking risks in your eating disorder recovery. This whole month, our theme is staying present and how to stay present, the importance of staying present. And I'm really going to focus in on how to stay present when you're taking these big risks when you're going through the recovery process in your eating disorder. So the first thing I want to kind of go over is, well, what is staying present? Like, what does that really mean? So there's a lot of misinterpretation of what that means, and I can honestly say for the longest time I had no idea what it meant to stay present. Not only did I not know what it meant to stay present, I had no idea how to do it or what it felt like. So staying present is, some people kind of confuse it with like being alert, knowing your surroundings and stuff. And for the longest time, that's what I thought it was. And it can be sort of, the staying alert in what you're doing and whatnot. But it really kind of goes more into the internal, like how you're feeling internally. Being aware of the internal talk, maybe me being more aware of the ed voice, being aware of the negative messaging you might be sending yourself, being aware of how you feel in any given moment in that time, like in that present moment. So when we're in our eating disorder, right, we are never really attuned to how we're feeling. We tend to numb out. We don't really pay attention to our emotions. And if we do, it can be extremely uncomfortable, or, we're so disconnected from our emotions, we have no idea what we're feeling. So staying present is something that is kind of difficult to practice when you're starting eating disorder recovery, because there's this huge big disconnect between like the mind and the body and the emotional experience. So if you're just starting off in recovery and you just cannot stay present, please be patient with yourself and please just keep trying, because I can guarantee you the more you try and practice, it will be easier. So why is it so important to stay present when maybe not even when we're taking risks, but just for recovery in general and eating disorder recovery in general and in life? Why is it so important to have this tool of being able to stay present? Well, especially when we have this negative voice or this negative messaging we're sending ourselves, right? The first thing we want to do is to be able to identify when we're doing it and being aware of when we're doing it. And practicing staying present really helps to do that. Because if we're not even aware and practicing staying present and staying aware of what's going on internally, we have no idea when this negative voice is really chiming in or influencing us or telling us to restrict, or influencing us by telling us how horrible we look. When we have no awareness of this, we cannot change it. So something you can start practicing right off the bat, even before you might be in a risk-taking environment as far as your eating disorder recovery goes, something you can start practicing right away in your eating disorder recovery is breath work. So I know many people just have a hard time with practicing breath work, but I can guarantee you it's such an amazing skill once you learn how to practice it. And the reason breath work is so important to staying present is it gives you a single point of focus. So when you are doing breath work, you tend to want to, practice it in a quiet area. You probably don't want the television on or music playing. It's someplace where you can hear your own breath. It's quiet, it's not busy, people aren't going to interrupt you. And you want to practice when, you can find a time that's a little bit more peaceful, possibly not when it's like stressful and hectic, but, if you have to, you have to. You eventually want to use it when there is periods of stress and you have a lot of anxiety. But when you first start practicing it, it's really important to be able to have an environment that's as easy to focus on your breath as possible. So you want to sit comfortably or maybe even lay down and just start to bring your awareness to your breath. All your focus and all your awareness goes on your breath. Any other thoughts that tend to come in, you can acknowledge them, then with each exhale, kind of blow them away or just breathe them out and let them go. So again, you would keep returning to your breath. And it sounds very simple, but I can guarantee you it's a lot more difficult than it sounds. So taking long, smooth, even breaths. So I usually take a breath in for a count of 4, pause at the top, and then exhale out for a count of 4 and pause at the bottom on empty. And if I'm feeling really squeamish sometimes and I'm like too fidgety, I try to set a timer so I know that the timer is going to go off after I've been practicing this for maybe 5 or 10 minutes, and then that's my practice. So another challenge to staying present when we're taking risks, right, is when we tend to catastrophize about things that might happen in the future. And that takes us out of our present moment, especially when we're taking a risk. We think, oh my gosh, I'm taking this huge risk. What if this happens? What if that happens? What if, right? And we're not able to actually pay attention to how we're feeling in the moment and actually almost see the beauty in the moment, even if it might be completely stressful and overwhelming. So a way I like to do this, especially when I'm in a situation that I feel might not be going the right way, or I feel like, whatever is happening to me is not good, I can't handle it, that it's a very stressful situation. The one thing I like to do is use the word perfect. And I know for us in eating disorder recovery, right, the word perfect is something we're like, oh no, perfect bad. But in this situation, it actually works really well. So what I like to do is think, this is all working out perfectly. I am perfectly having more free time because business is slow. Or I am everything's just working out perfectly, and finding the best of what is going on in any given situation. The last thing I want to go over with this being able to stay present when you're taking risks in eating disorder recovery is the ability to sit with negative thoughts, negative feelings, uncomfortable emotions, and just sit with them and quote unquote ride the wave of an emotion. This is something that I can honestly say has taken so much practice on my part, and is something that I know is definitely not easy. But once you experience how to do this, it is incredibly liberating. So what this is, for example, right, we're taking a risk in our eating disorder recovery. Say we are going to a restaurant that has all these fear foods or trigger foods or whatever you want to call them. We're scared to go, right? This is not a happy experience. And we have a lot of anxiety. And typically, I know for myself, the easiest thing to do in eating disorder, in my eating disorder, is to numb out and just avoid feeling those feelings and not even allowing them to happen because they're so difficult to go through. Part of recovery and part of taking risks is actually feeling those uncomfortable feelings and staying present while we're feeling them, actually acknowledging what we're feeling and being able to remain grounded, being present, and feel these feelings. So for example, I'm going to this restaurant, right? I really don't want to go. There's all these fear foods and I know the food's going to come, and I'm sitting there and I feel like I'm going to crawl out of my skin. So at that point, right, it's really easy to go into eating disorder thinking. Negative thoughts may come up. Maybe I'm trying to think of how many calories are in the food that's going to come. And I'm obsessing about all this stuff with food, and I'm just going there and going to all these things, and my eating disorder is really running rampant in my head. So this is where breathwork comes in. So I can start to practice my breathwork, breathing in for a count of 4, holding, breathing out for a count of 4, and holding. Then you can start kind of playing with how you're feeling mentally. And by playing, I mean allowing yourself to feel that anxiety, to feel out of control, to feel whatever negative emotions might be coming up at that point, and breathing through it. And your stomach might be turning, you might be sweating, you might be shaking. But if you can sit there with those very difficult emotions and breathe through them and actually acknowledge them and allow them to take up space in your body, you can then eventually let them go and release them. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this video was very helpful for you. Like I said, many of these tips I'm giving in this video are pretty advanced. This takes a lot of practice. So please be patient with yourself when you start to incorporate, practicing staying present in your recovery, especially when you're taking risks in your eating disorder recovery. So thank you so much for watching. Please remember to subscribe to our channel and check us out at Libero Magazine. Thanks again for watching, and I will catch you next time. Bye.